Hello, everyone. I'm starting this new series on how to build your very own personal website, a visitor website. And within this series, we're going to be building some templates for the index page, like maybe a projects page, whatever. So, just a set of HTML documents that you will be able to reuse within your very own personal website project. And here, just before we start, I need to mention that usually when it comes to web development in general, you have the back end, you have the front end. But again, if you are a web developer, then that clearly makes sense to you. But if you are not a web developer and if you don't have that deep understanding of what these terms actually mean, well, in this case, I just want to provide a very quick explanation. The front end part is something that you can see in the browser itself. And if you have some dynamically generated content, an example within the e-commerce store or the blog or like whatever, like maybe social media. So when you have the post, when you have the commentaries, like on YouTube, for instance, so dynamically created content. In this case, you need the backend that would generate the appropriate content for you. Then the matter of how this content would be delivered to the actual browser might vary. So it might be just creating the HTML on the server side, or it might use the RESTful API so that later on the another complicated front-end framework like React or Vue or whatever would be just referencing that particular API and rendering dynamically things by the JavaScript. So many complicated words, but just trying to make things simple and clear. So the idea is that you have a very basic skeleton, I would say, the very basic layout for your website. And then the only question is how in particular are you going to deliver this layout, this skeleton to the user. And depending on how the user is supposed to be interacting with the skeleton, you may pick up the proper technology. So what is specific to the personal website, the visitor website, it just provides the limited amount of information. So usually static pages are like good enough for a personal website. Because let's say you want to communicate with the community you've built your site for, but in this case, you could just leave the links to the social media you're using, and you can interact via that social media. And it simply just doesn't make sense to make yet another Facebook or another social media functionality within your very own website when things like that already exist, and there is no actual need to reinvent the wheel. So instead of kicking start with picking up the proper technology for the back end and then the certain framework for the front end, what if we just build the bare skeleton, the bare layout as the pure HTML file, and we can already host those pages, say on GitHub. You can do this for free. And then if you have a need to improve things or to add some more functionality, well, that can be done in the relatively easy way. So in this video in particular, we will build the, I don't know if I can call it a site website map or not, but we'll create the navigation bar just like on this website, and we'll create the footer. The footer is this thing down below, not as as huge as this one, but anyway, the structure would be like this, and then the main part will be containing the about page about the person who is actually hosting this personal website. And by the time I would be doing things, I will then mention where in particular some additional technologies might get involved in future and why. So without further ado, let's actually get started with building our personal website. So my weapon of choice, text editor that I'm using to do things is Vim. And there is a strong reason for that. I will now explain why, but essentially you can create an HTML document in Windows, Notepad, or whatever text editor you like. Obviously, if you are a developer, well, it's not out of question, but if you're just a user, if you have no knowledge about programming in general, HTML and CSS in particular, and Bootstrap framework as well, still, this video might be useful for you because the way how I present the material is via the blocks. And if you just reuse the blocks, you can actually come up with a reasonable result yourself without pretty much understanding the nitty-gritty details behind how the block of code actually works internally. Okay, so without further ado, so I have a folder called website tutorial, and I just do vim and index.html, and I just do hello, and I just want to open this file in the web browser. Desktop website tutorial index.html. We got our hello here. Now, the reason why I'm using Vim is the following, because in Vim you can write your very own plugins that helps you automating things. So the usual way, if you don't know all the Bootstrap code snippets by heart, what you would probably do, you go to the examples, and then you go to CDN starter, for instance, and try to download some code from GitHub, for instance. Like from here, you need to find some, you get the code snippet, you just copy paste it to the document. Well, that's long and boring. Another way, you can just go to the documentation and going through the quick start and just copy pasting these pieces of code sequentially to get things done. And then you may want to add some navbar, and for that sake you would just go to navbars, for instance, here, and you try to inspect the code and try to get the specific navbar that you like. Let's say this navbar. Okay, you just want to grab the code, copy paste. Well, that's long, that's very boring. And the problem with this approach is that actually, it's not always comfortable, because just bringing snippets from different place doesn't necessarily mean everything will work together if you are not quite sure what are you doing. So for this sake, I've created a Vim plugin that essentially does two things. First, it allows you to insert Bootstrap snippets, and second, apart from just inserting the snippets, it also gives the hints, like the nested structure of what else you can insert in a certain place. So what this plugin does, it reads the snippets file that I've created. So let me just quickly show you this as well. If I go to desktop, Vim Bootstrap list, and go into source, and Vim snippet. So here is the JSON file that contains all the snippets I would be using. I'm maintaining this database of Bootstrap snippets. So I've created this on my very own. So it's done in a way convenient to me. It's kind of unique. Okay, and then I have the little plugin. This is the plugin code that actually allows me to type the command, which is the name of the key within the JSON file, and using that to insert whatever is within the corresponding value. So if, let's say, I want to insert the header here, so I just can do the command bs header, and this chunk of code would get inserted into the document. So that's the general idea. So that's the reason why I use them. So when you have a boring task like HTML, CSS thing, layout, or skeleton of the website, quite boring. But if you do automate things to make your life easier, to bring some colors into it, it makes a bit more sense, and it brings some joy. So let's go back to the tutorial, and I'm going to the index, and now I can simply say bs and index, and this brings the starter template to the web page. So if I just write, and here I update, nothing here so far, but if we press Ctrl-Shift-I to inspect the sources, then here is what we have here. Essentially, Bootstrap 5 consists of two files that we need to download. So I'm using the CDN, so just remotely downloading the CSS styles. So these are the styles from this jsdeliver.net. And if you want to have the reasonable names for classes, you can do get rid of min and just read whatever classes are available. So this is the entire Bootstrap 5. It's quite huge. And then to make things working smoothly, we also need the JavaScript file, which can be found here. So again, you can just get it from here, or if you want to have the reasonable, to inspect the reasonable JavaScript code, you can do like this. So this code allows the Bootstrap elements to be interactive. All right, so let's drop back. So we have a very basic structure, so duck type, HTML, just a standard thing. So we have the HTML tag enclosing the entire document. Then the entire website consists of essentially two parts, the head and the body, right? And within the head, we have some meta information. So this line makes sure that your website would be seen nicely on various devices, like on smartphones or tablets, for instance. And also, the title gives the so that you can see the title in here. So this is the title. Then just download the Bootstrap. Make sure it's like original sort of thing. Then I'm using the custom font here. Well, because you could have used the standard Bootstrap fonts, but which are in most cases the standard fonts that are available system-wide on your operating system. But I really like this Barlow font, so we'll see how this looks. It looks really cool. Now, just to give a user an idea of how to proceed, we have this hint. So what are the basic structures we want to add to our document? So these are the header and the main part and the footer. So let's start by adding these things here. So I can say BS header, and okay, we got one. So right, and suddenly we are having a nav bar. So if we want to add some links, so usually we do want to add some links, we can do the following thing. So here we can place the navigation list. So BS nav list, no nav list, okay. And here in particular, we do BS nav link, okay. And now we have the link, and already, so this is the custom CSS using here. So it's not the standard Bootstrap class. So you can always extend the existing Bootstrap functionality by adding your very own styles where it's needed. So I'm using one here. So I'm using the custom background color, custom foreground color, custom font size, and for the hover, when I just do the mouse over event, use the custom background color. And also when we have the active, so when I click on the button, I also want to the active background color and the border color to be changed to the proper values. And these are again the Bootstrap classes. I do reuse and override here. Okay, so what I can do here, I can just make a bit more. And for instance, I just can rename this. So let's say, I don't know, home. Let's make it uppercase. Home, about, and contact. Okay. And we got our home, about, and contact being added here. And also we can add the drop down thing, which is quite cool as well. So let's do BS nav drop down, and I want to call it, let's just call it projects, for instance, right? So we got projects, and yeah, so let's just quickly do like project 1, 2, 3. Okay. And yeah, we get project 1, project 2, project 3. So these are links. I'm not specifying the H reference for now. It's just the hash symbol means it just goes back where it is now. But anyway, so we got our navbar, and now let's add the main part. So if I do bs main, gives me another couple of options. So again, by the time when you will be watching this video, there might be more than just these options. So again, it's like the options are being added recursively, so that within every given element you have an option like which particular element to embed into the existing parent one. So for instance, the BS about, so this is the template I've created to serve as the like starter point to provide your photo, okay, the picture of you if this is a personal website, okay, and then just some standard text like introducing yourself, talking about your passions, like your journey. So this is the ChatGPT generated text, to be honest. I'm just using it as a placeholder. Okay, and last but not least is the only carousel here. Last but not least, I want to add the footer. So BS footer, and yeah, footer label. So right, and now we got the footer here. So footer label, you can add the year, the company name, whatever, and already it shows like how particular the navbar is actually working. So the layout is the following. So we have the borders like in here, okay, and also the navbar is transparent, and the text nicely goes beyond the navbar. So I personally like this so layout, this type of layout, and yeah, so this already gives us sort of a pro look for the website. Now, well, essentially in terms of code, this is it for this part, but I just want to give a bit more theory just to make your understanding a little bit more clear. So when we would be creating another pages, I'm not quite sure which pages in particular would be here, and I also want to show you the actual index page for my personal website. I'll show you this just right in a moment. But before that, I just want to introduce the issues arising with the development. So essentially, every next section, like say this is the home section or about, actually it might be both, but let's say we go to contacts or we go to projects, wherever, and in that case, what would be similar in any other part of the website, in any other chapter of the website? So the navbar will always be the same, and the footer will probably also be the same, while the content in between would be different every time. So in order to resolve this, one of the options, say you are creating the full stack web application with Python and Flask and using the Ginger template renderer. In that case, what you can do, you can just programmatically insert the navbar using like specific code, essentially like formatting in C, like using the specific formatting to dynamically insert the navbar and the footer code if needed to the web page, and then the main part would be like manually created for every section in particular. That's one approach. Another approach, if you're using some complicated front-end framework, like say, I don't know, React or Vue, whatever. In that case, you have an entire ecosystem infrastructure that essentially does somewhat a similar thing, again depending on the architecture of the framework. So the idea is that whenever you have the duplications, whenever you encounter things that needs to be done more than one time, it comes to a certain solution of how in particular is supposed to be resolving that. So for this project, for now, just for simplicity, just for the sake of like being didactic, I would probably be just duplicating the navbar in the footer code, because if we have a look, then essentially the entire document is like, so from down below. So I can just copy the entire document, and then all I need to do is to change everything that goes within the main tag right over in here. And if I just like replace it with the like some different content, then eventually what I would have is the it's exactly the same navbar, exactly the same footer, but the content in between would be different. Okay, let me show you how the index page for my particular personal website currently looks like. It's under development still. It would be live on GitHub. It's actually live on GitHub already, so probably that would be linked in the description down below. So I'm going to the personal website and index. And this is exactly the same profile that we've just created, but just with the custom name for the website. So my channel is called Monkey See, Monkey Do, and hence the title here. Code Monkey King, that's my nickname. So the footer is like this. I added the photo here just as essentially the placeholder. And I have a custom text greeting the user. Okay, so essentially this is it from my side, and within the next videos, we are going to be building the rest of the pages. Yeah, I'm not quite sure in what order in particular, but yeah, anyway, this is it from my side. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next tutorial.